Hey everybody, welcome to Let's Look at Double Dragon Neon. I just had the horrifying realization that many times throughout this video I am probably going to accidentally say Dungeons & Dragons Neon. Oh no, that's going to be a little embarrassing. But in any case, this is the franchise reboot. I don't know, because there hasn't been a Double Dragon Neon 2, but the franchise reboot that originally came out for Xbox Live Arcade a couple of years ago has now made it over to PC, courtesy of publisher Midnight City. It is a retro-inspired, but as it says, neon, a little bit 80s, at least aesthetically and musically influenced, mega hard beat-em-up. That does have online co-op, although I have not checked it out for myself, but I wanted to mention that right off the top of the video, just so that people would know that it's actually included in there. So that's a nice feature in an era where a lot of games come out on the PC with local co-op only. It's nice that you have the option to play both. It does have couch co-op as well. So we're going to start up a new game here. It says I played for 35 minutes. Don't let that fool you. A lot of that 35 minutes has been dying, and I'm not sure that that is actually counted in the overall score. So I have, or overall time, I should say. So I'm on the third level here. I don't want to spoil too much, so we're going to start on level 1. And I say I don't want to spoil too much, but the other reason that we're going to start by playing right at the very beginning here is so that the level's a little bit easier, so maybe I have a slightly better chance of actually succeeding, because this is a very, very difficult game. While also explaining the basic mechanics of what's going on. So we play as one of the brothers. Obviously, if you have another brother here, then you would be playing as both of them. I'm not sure if this is Bimmy, Jimmy, or Billy, but we're going to start playing here. So the very basics of the game. I'm using the Xbox 360 controller because that is what I prefer to use for beat-em-ups, because this is how I played them as a kid on my Xbox 360. No, you know, the controller is very similar to like a Super Nintendo controller, obviously. Attacking is just done via the X button. This is our very basic attack, and we can execute a sweet-ass, like, 5-hit to an air kick combo, and then punch them in the face when they fall on the ground, and that is usually enough to kill them in one hit. That is something that feels really satisfying once you get it down, and really rhythmic. There is a dodge, which the game is being nice enough to kind of demonstrate here. Let's see if I can get... I want to do it effectively. That was a good dodge, but I want to time it a little bit later, because then we get an offensive bonus there. That actually doubles our damage, which puts them in a more vulnerable state faster. Oh, he's already dead. Okay. There are weapons as well, if I just dodge this guy. We could just go to town on him, and it would probably kill him very easily. But the weapons we can pick up via the B button. These are extremely useful for us, if I could actually get them instead of letting the enemy get them especially. That would be really good for us. Oh my god, please don't die. Oh, I got double damage there, thankfully. And we should be able to execute our combo on this guy. Oop! He was already dead. Okay, we can pick those up with B, and we can use those weapons or our fists to break things like mailboxes or garbage cans, as you can see. And, oh, that was really close. In doing so, that's going to put us in a position where we can get some consumables. And we will probably need them, because health is a little bit of a scarce resource in the game. So let's just get involved here. It kind of reminds me of something like Foul Play, in that there's a very rhythmic kind of aspect to it. I actually quite like the gameplay of the game. The only thing that bothers me is the difficulty, but that's something that is probably also going to make a lot of people big fans of it. I think this is a good beat-em-up. The complaint that I normally have against beat-em-ups is that they're super repetitive. This one, oh my god, okay, I know it looks like I'm doing terribly right now. Just ignore what I did there. I'll explain that eventually. Maybe I'll just do another one, spam this a little bit. The complaint that I normally have against beat-em-ups is that they're super repetitive, but the fact that it's so important that you actually pay attention and not just button mash in this game, as unfortunately I have fallen victim to. It mitigates that repetition somewhat. I mean, you're still doing basically the same thing over and over, but, you know, the moment-to-moment gameplay is satisfying, and you're seriously not just, like, walking into a fray of enemies and then just mashing the button over and over. At least, if you want to succeed, you shouldn't do that. I've already lost one life, but we should be able to succeed here. I assure you this is more difficult than it looks. By grabbing keys, we can open things like this, you know, fortune teller here, and we can get tapes. I guess I'll talk about tapes and money to see what we got here. Soda, that is our health. That's the wrong button. This is the right button. We can equip stances and sosetsu. I actually don't know what that is, and I probably pronounced it terribly. But this is basically a magical power for us. So right now I have the spin kick, but there's also a fireball or a knee drop, which does a lot of damage. Or a bomb toss, which I have not actually used, but it sounds cool. I like using the spin kick because it's an area of effect attack that can really get you out of a tough spot. And there's stances as well, and the stances basically give you some kind of passive ability. Like mine right now increases stats with a focus on attack, but I also really like, for example, what about successive strikes? Become stronger as you hit enemies. At 50 consecutive hits, you become more than twice as powerful. That seems really useful. Desperation, get a huge damage boost when you're below 50% health. We're gonna take that one. All of those correspond to some songs, as you can see in the menu. The soundtrack in the game is actually really good. You might not be able to 100% hear it super well, but particularly on level 2, it's really, really good. And we should get to level 2 over the course of this, because the levels typically are, at least from the 2 that I've actually managed to finish so far, are short, you know, on the order of maybe 10 to 15 minutes each, with a couple of deaths associated. So you fall into a really nice rhythm, and I remember mentioning this for, like, foul play, but you fall into a really nice rhythm of attacking and dodging over and over and over as you play, and it makes it a really nice rhythmic experience. If I didn't have the weapon there, by the way, that would have been absolutely terrible. I would have probably gotten another life down. I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say that Double Dragon Neon is a rhythm game, but it is important to have, you know, it's got that back and forth, shall we say. So I'll try to get into some more dodging as enemies come in here. I didn't realize that guy was going to punch me right away. So let's wait for an attack. There we go. Get double damage. Punch him up in the air. Execute our KO combo, basically. That, I can't stress enough how really, really satisfying it feels when you punch them up in the air, then do the drop kick, and then punch them when they're on the ground to kill them. It's the combo that I do most often, but I still enjoy doing it every single time, just because it's so satisfying to have, like, a very fatal kind of kill. Oh, I messed that one up. I don't know, this guy's named a Bobo. I don't know if it's, because I know so little about Dungeons & Dragons. Oh, almost did it! Because I know so little about, Double Dragon lore. Should talk to Nick about this one, I guess. He's the Double Dragon guy. I don't know if Abobo was a character in the original Double Dragon, or the original franchise, at least in one of the titles, or if it's a reference to Abobo's Big Adventure, you know, that NES game that came out only a few years ago. And that's not me misspeaking. There was an NES game that came out just a few years ago called Abobo's Big Adventure. I don't know, though. So we are about to finish off this level. I think that might actually have been the very end right there. So we're going to get some money. We can use that to buy things almost River City Ransom style on the next level. In particular, I will probably be interested in buying a bunch of 1-ups. So we've completed our stage. That one's pretty short, and it's also pretty easy. I died more than I would have wanted to. And we didn't really have a boss fight there, which is why I want to go into level 2, because level 2's got an interesting boss fight going on. And a difficult boss fight going on, but I'll just stack up on lives, so I'm very lucky there. Now, the complaints that I have about this game are the complaints that I typically have about a lot of beat-em-ups. And obviously I've mentioned the fact that it's repetitive. This is extremely difficult, and it also seems extremely co-op focused. There's a lot of things that, you know, let's put it this way. I asked on Twitter, I was like, am I really bad at Double Dragon Neon? Or is it just an exceptionally difficult game? And people were like, well, in co-op, it's actually manageable, but in single player, it's very difficult. I don't know if the difficulty actually scales between, you know, like, it gets easier if you're playing single player versus playing co-op. You know, it half as difficult, basically. But if it doesn't, that's something that is making this a very... Come on, just attack me. All right, fine, I'll finish you up. It's something that's making this a very trying experience from a, you know, rinse and repeat. That's not really what I meant. From a repetition standpoint, but not because it's repetitive, just because, you know, I'm doing the same parts over and over and over. When you die, the checkpoint system is pretty unforgiving. By the way, the fire that's around me right now is because of that desperation passive ability that I have going on right now. So we'll just knock these guys up into the air. I was button mashing for a little bit there. Come on. Here, he's dead. You're dead. Hopefully we'll be able to break open something and maybe get some soda here. Come on, Streetlight. You got some soda? No, it doesn't. The track on this one's really good. I hope you guys can actually manage to hear that. Now, if we just chase this barrel down, we might be able to get some soda out of something. There we go. That takes us back to full health, basically. Again, I'm not sure if I articulated my point properly there. Basically, what I'm getting at is the checkpoint system is pretty unforgiving. So that means that a lot of the time that I've spent in the game has not actually been seeing new content. It's been, you know, seeing the same content I've seen before, but trying to do a little bit better. And that's not necessarily a huge... Hey, get down on the ground, please. That's not necessarily a huge negative, but it is something that I hold against the game a little bit, because it took me like 4 or 5 tries just to beat that tutorial level that you basically just saw. And yeah, the level that we beat basically was a glorified tutorial. It's not the easiest tutorial in the world. It's actually like reasonably difficult, but still, I think it could have done a better job of tutorializing things. For example, it doesn't tell you, at least I didn't see it tell me, that you can break those like newspaper holders or like a hot dog cart, for example, and have a chance to get some HP out of it. So I just assumed that I was stuck with the amount of HP. Okay, maybe we'll crouch and break. We can break this. I know I've broken this hot dog cart before, I swear. It has health in it. Maybe I can't break it now? That's really weird. This also occasionally happens sometimes. I hit one point in the game where just either I missed a correct path or I couldn't figure out where to go, which is something that's pretty rare in a game where typically you're just moving left to right, but for whatever reason I couldn't move to the right anymore. And again, that might just be me being an idiot, but whatever. I'm going to buy a bunch of extra lives here, extra lives, I suppose. We're gonna buy an awful lot of them because I don't trust myself to not die. Basically, you know, TLDR, I'm mad because I'm bad. The game's really difficult. A lot of people are gonna like that. Some people are not gonna like that. Some people are gonna say that they like it, but they won't admit it, but they actually won't like it that much. But that's cool, you know, it's a game that I'm imagining is a little bit on the short side. Beat-em-ups usually are, and it's better to be short than to overstay your welcome, for sure. And difficulty is one way of kind of increasing the length of the game and making it more enjoyable for a longer period of time. That being said, I have been frustrated on occasion, especially, like, on the 3rd level. Like, I was doing totally fine from a combat standpoint, but just can't figure out where to go because the screen won't let me move to the right, and I don't know if maybe... Here's the thing. I might be wrong, but it feels like it's a scripting thing where, like, it doesn't realize that I've killed all the enemies on the screen, so it won't let me move on. Like, the screen won't scroll. If I'm wrong about that, then I apologize, but that's the way it's been conveyed to me, given the information that I have from the game. Anyway, mostly, my thoughts about Double Dragon Neon, almost said Dungeons and Dragons again, are extremely positive. I think this is probably as good or maybe even better than Foul Play. It was weird for me because I'm a terrible barometer for the quality of beat-em-ups, apparently, because I saw that Foul Play was not necessarily super well received in the media, but I thought it was really fun. But I think Double Dragon Neon is up there as well, and it's a little bit more hardcore, no question about it. But I think that works in its favor. It's almost a little bit, and I hate when people do this, when critics do this, they're like, oh, Rayman Origins, it's like platforming meets Dark Souls or something like that. But this seriously does feel like a little bit of the Dark Souls of beat-em-ups, if that makes sense. And the reason I say that is not just to be, you know, buzzwordy or come up with a convenient comparison, but you really have to be focused on your defense and then find an opening to strike. If you just button mash, you're gonna be killed. There's some humor in the game as well. It's actually a very funny game, especially you'll see as we fight the boss that we're going to fight on the stage. We can go to the tape smith. I guess we might as well. He can, you know, make tapes for us, and that can give us new powers. We can also upgrade our powers here as well. So maybe by using these crystals that I'll get from this next boss, which I've already gotten, as you can see, I can instead forge a better spin kick. So now this is level 2, and as a result of that, I can maybe be a little bit stronger when it comes to the spin kick, which is excellent. So we're going to break that, get some extra money. I have not had money problems so far, but it's possible that later on in the game I will. I think we've got a little bit more combat, maybe a couple more waves. Let's try our new spin kick out. That is, you know, pretty good, I guess. Didn't cost me too much to do it, so I'm okay with that. That combo is really satisfying. And yeah, like, it's not necessarily like, you know, parrying and reposting doesn't necessarily exist, but you're kind of doing the same thing, or accomplishing the same thing, by trying to dodge and then getting bonus damage as a result. And desperation helps me out a lot, because I get hit far too fucking much. There we go. Why don't you punch me? There we go. You'll be dead in 2 seconds. Alright. So yeah, it has that same kind of Dark Souls-y type, you know, defend and then find an opening and attack. Rhythm to it. And it's a little bit cheap to just say, oh, that's Dark Souls-y, but, you know, it's a comparison that I think a lot of people are familiar with, and that makes it useful. I'm not trying to get street cred by saying that something's, you know, Dark Souls-y. I played a lot of Dark Souls. I think that's pretty evident based on my channel, but anyway. This guy's like, hey, I think they took my girlfriend into this weird dojo here. Maybe it's a trap, and then, of course, the game's almost got like a... I'm trying to think of what kind of absurd level it's got going on here, or like a comparison in terms of its absurdity. It's no jazz punk, but it is, you know, it's silly, and it's Far Cry Blood Dragon is a pretty good example. It takes that like 80s kind of sci-fi neon aesthetic and you know, applies it to a beat 'em up instead. Also, lots of references to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time in this game, so if you are a fan of that, it wears its heart in its sleeve and its inspirations on its sleeve. And we are going to have a boss fight here, and this will probably be the last thing that we cover over the course of this video. Anything in here? There's a comb. We can throw that comb at him, and if it gets stuck in him, then that'll be cool. So there's our girlfriend. She's been kidnapped. This is Skelegeddon, I think. We'll see in a second. I like his voice because it's not your typical villain voice. Kind of looks like Alpha from the Power Rangers. Like a really muscly Alpha. Anyway. Skullmageddon, that's it. Alright, so he's got a few different attacks. One of them is when he does that Nicolas Cage quote, and he tries to get us to take our face off. I'm just making sure that I'm dodging as effectively as possible here. He's not actually that difficult of a boss fight. We just gotta watch out. If we can get him in a combo like this, we can actually do a lot of damage. And I've got double damage there, so I should just relax. Now, this is the one we have to watch out for as well. If he hits us with that, he actually does a ton of damage. All you gotta do is dodge out of the side of it, Ooh, I'm doing a pretty darn good job here. Oh, should have gotten out of the way of that. It's okay. Oh, that was a total waste. When he taunts, I think that's the time when you're supposed to strike. But this is actually going exceptionally well so far. I've said that multiple times now, but I genuinely believe it. And if I can just get into his grill, he will be dead relatively soon. I have almost depleted my energy meter. Okay, didn't get hit by that. Slide under. Oh, didn't really work. Okay, there we go. I wish I could dodge that one. You probably can. I'm just, mad because I'm bad. Oh, that was a total waste. All right, let's wait for him. I'm going to come in and try to, go under him. One of these days, I will dodge that attack. I'm pretty sure it's totally dodgeable. I'm just bad. Watch out for that's why you watch out for that one. But that's also why I bought, 8 lives a little bit earlier on. So, dodge in. I guess I'm not going to avoid that one. I'm just going to tank the shots consistently. This might be his death, actually. Oh. I really thought that I had rolled out of the way of that one. But as you can see, the boss fight, the design is really good. I really like boss fights like this. It's not necessarily too difficult, but, the level that precedes it is difficult. And really, it's a little bit unfair because I've already seen his patterns before. And I'm still losing a few lives. But if you are fighting him for the first time, you're going to find yourself in a much more difficult position. All right. There we go. He's actually probably dead now. Oh, he's close. All right, let's try one last barrage. Probably if I get him with a spin kick, he'll be in trouble. Roll out of the way. Come in. Spin kick. I think that's going to... Oh, my God. He's way stronger than I had thought. But he's blinking a lot. That's beat-em-up parlance for this guy's nearly dead. There we go. So now that he is gone... All right, I'm just going to stop trying to guess now. He's giving me, pseudo-epileptic seizures here. Oh, there we go. He's dead. And he drops some crystals as well, so I guess you can boss farm if you just want to continuously improve your skills. Or improve your magic, like this one. All right, so that is going to do it for level 2, and that's also going to do it for my Let's Look at Double Dragon Neon. It's an enjoyable beat-em-up. Because of the difficulty, it's a double-edged sword, much like Skullmageddon actually has. It's challenging, and that's frustrating when you have to repeat the same level over and over and over, but it also gives me a little bit of impetus to continue playing, and I think more so than a lot of other beat-em-ups that I've played, this actually makes me want to finish it just to prove that I can, if that makes sense, and I don't really feel that way about a lot of games, but I think that shows that it's like a satisfying level of challenge, even if it is very unforgiving sometimes. But anyway, that's Double Dragon Neon. You can check it out on Steam. I believe it's $10, probably a little bit less for its opening week sale. There will be a link in the video description below. I'd recommend it if you're a fan of beat-em-ups. It's, old school beat-em-up with a nice new school twist on it. It doesn't need to get any more complicated than that. And online co-op if you and your friend want to play, if you have 2 copies. As always, thanks for watching. Again, there will be a link to pick up the game in the video description below on Steam if you are interested in picking it up. As always, if you enjoyed the video, it would help out a great deal if you would show your support by clicking the like button. It helps out more than you would know. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more first impressions like this in the future. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.